Little House on the Prairie won't be seen tonight, so we can bring you a very special episode of The Gen X Files. Welcome to The Gen X Files. I'm Jim.
I'm Adam.
And today is another little For the Stepdads. Although it's very special for the Stepdads. Because it's our 50th show.
We're 50 years young.
Yeah, we've been doing this for 50 years.
Yeah.
This show has been on since, 1972?
Math.
It's been a long time since we had that first 72 show.
Yeah.
We had Marty Feldman was one of our guests, and
It was very prescient of us to start a Gen X Files.
yeah, it was
knowing
weird.
that no one was calling it Gen X Files.
I was
at that
3. Adam was sperm.
Yeah.
It was,
I was
we were a
not
little
even.
different. Yeah.
Not even.
No, you were. Your
No,
dad-
in
your
72?
dad- yeah, I think your dad had sperm at 72.
You literally recycle your sperm like every 24 hours.
Not your dad.
Oh, wow. I am really sorry, Dad.
Oh. Yeah, me too. That's
okay. Now
that's
it's
just what I
awkward.
heard.
Good job.
That's
Good job.
what I heard. That's what the people are
So
saying.
50. So Jim, let's talk about being 50. I wouldn't know because I'm not 50 yet, Jim.
Well, you look it,
Oh, thanks.
and I don't, which is cool. I don't know, man. Being 50 blows. I don't know. I'm
Yeah,
not
it's
50.
not. Look,
I'm 52.
Yeah, it's funny because I'm not 50, but I definitely you get to that point where you're like, man, I've never felt this thing inside my body before. This is just what getting old is.
I
It
don't.
just
Well,
sucks.
here's the deal, man. Here's the thing. I never officially grew up. I didn't really have children,
Yeah,
or I didn't
yeah.
really have.
You didn't really
I
have
didn't really
children?
have children. I kind of did.
Kind of. Some you don't know.
Some
about.
lab. I did some stuff in a lab once.
Oh
but,
yeah, yeah.
No, I didn't have kids. I didn't get married. Thank God. Dodged a couple of bullies,
Yeah. Oh, well,
little
yeah,
bullets.
yeah.
I basically have not done any sort of milestone of adulthood. Buying a house. I bought a car. I bought
You bought
Jesus.
cars,
I've
yeah.
purchased automobiles.
Spent some time
I've
in-
done some kind of adulty stuff.
Sure.
But for me, all that's really changed is the rent's a lot higher,
Yeah.
and there's always a pain. There's always something
Yeah.
that hurts.
Something-
It
yeah,
moves
yeah.
around.
Yeah,
Sometimes it's
yeah.
like a shoulder or an elbow or a knee
Yeah.
or a toe.
Yeah, but it's weird how it's just.
But there's always-
something consistent.
Just a gentle reminder as you get older that you're going to die. And it gets more and more prescient as time goes,
Yeah.
I suppose.
Become more aware of it. Yeah. Yeah.
But, I don't know. I feel that getting older, it's just a number, baby.
Yeah,
For
yeah,
immature
100%.
little Peter Pan boys like me. I've heard that there's a bunch of
Oh.
anti-aging drugs and reverse aging things.
they're starting. Yeah.
We'll never get to see them. That'll be for the ultra-rich.
Well, yeah.
I think they already have them. I'm sure they already have these anti-aging drugs because you look at people like you look at like Paul Rudd, you look at like Ralph Macchio.
Yeah.
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 You look at
Keanu Reeves.
what's
is
your
one of
name
those.
from?
Yeah.
Keanu Reeves is starting to look old.
Now
He's starting
yeah.
to look he's looking like your grandpa put on a Neo costume, or your dad. Not your grandpa,
Not
but
your
your
grandpa.
dad. It's like your
Dad.
dad put on a
Yeah.
wig and a beard
And then
to look
everything-
like Neo, but
to
the
look like
face
Neo, yeah.
is a little older.
Yeah.
But he's still a gorgeous, beautiful man.
Well, sure.
But he is starting to show his age, which I think is cool. Like, I
Yeah,
like it.
yeah.
I like when people show their age because I'm showing my age.
Yeah.
It's
You're
good for the
aging-
goose.
You're aging gracefully.
Yeah, but you know what's really tough is, yes, I think
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah. You
But
are. You are.
for a normal human.
Yeah.
But for like the ultra humans, like the Rudds, and the Machios,
Yeah.
and these guys are like 50 and 60. You're like, that guy's 60. Ralph Macchio is 60.
Yeah.
He's 60 years old. And Paul Rudd is my age, exactly. We're exactly the same age. I think he might be a month older than me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, I think those guys of course they have access to things, creams and oils and salves and,
Sure,
and
sure.
metabolic beds, and
Well, at least in Paul Rudd's case, he does a really good job of pretending like none of that happens.
yeah. Well, but that's also genetic. I mean, I'm joking because most
Yeah.
of it's really genetics. I mean, look,
He won the lottery. Yeah.
in Ralph Macchio, the flip side for him is he looked like he was 13 until he was 40.
Yeah.
And that hurt his career a
Yeah.
bit. It's like you don't want to be playing.
yeah.
He was 30 almost when he was playing
Yeah.
The first time he was playing the Karate Kid.
Oh, no, that's right. Because he was like 29 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and that's like, I get it. I looked pretty young. You did too. Look, we were both baby-faced boys.
Yeah,
you know,
100%. Yeah.
And I couldn't grow a mustache until I was 30. You know,
I
did this movie where we had to put a fake mustache on me when I was the old fat guy, and then pretty soon after that I was able to grow one. But I couldn't. You know, I had a baby face. I would always get carded.
Yeah.
You know, I had to have a fake ID because nobody's going to look at me and be like, oh yeah, and be like, get back to high school, kiddo. You know, because I was chubby, and I think sometimes when you're like chubby and soft, you have soft features and hairless body, you look. In a hairless face and stuff, you look pretty young. You look like I baby fat for a long time. So I know what it's like, and I hated it. You know, I was like, I don't want to look like a kid. I want to look older.
No, totally. But when I got into my 30s and people thought I was 21, I was like, okay,
yeah, and then okay. Exactly. So when I like hit 30s and 40s, and I was 40s, I think I would say mid 30s to early 40s was my peak.
Yeah.
And
same.
And I look good. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just totally kidding. But I did feel good. I was good shape. You know, it's like that's when, people were like, F you, man. And still, because even though things are falling apart on my body and on my face and things, I have this really great head of hair. I have a very I have a very strong hairline. I have very beautiful chestnut hair.
Oh my God!
That when it was long during the pandemic, it was soft and gorgeous, like Fabio wishes he had. No, but I do have this brown, nice, not balding hair for a man my age, and everybody always accuses me dyeing it. But here's the thing: I got a really gray beard. Okay, I'm getting close to Santa Claus color. Yeah. You know, it's just getting grayer and grayer. It's a little skunk. It's like reverse skunk right now. I got like a black line down the middle, and I got the grays around the side. So it's like, if I was going to go to the trouble of dyeing my hair, I'd get some Just for Men, baby, and do my face too, because it just looks stupid.
Yeah.
And I got a couple of gravies up there, but I don't know. I think the lack of children and marriage and avoiding responsibility and stress for my entire life probably made it easier to age, because I didn't take on any real life responsibilities or, did anything worthwhile.
Well, nothing that'll cause stress. Yeah,
yes, nothing that'll cause the world to be a better place. But at least I have a good head of hair.
I had really nice thick hair until the pandemic, and then my hair started thinning. And
really,
I definitely could tell, because heading into the pandemic, I hadn't gotten a haircut for like 2.5 years, and my hair got really long. And I think that helped push the process forward.
Good Lord, it was long. Your hair was way too long, man.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. But it was like, it got to the point where you were like a Crystal Gale. It was getting down to your butt. Very nice hair, but also you would just jam it into a pony all the time. Yeah. It's not like it was loosey-goosey running around.
No, I stopped doing that when it got too long. But I had planned on getting a haircut right before the pandemic, but then... I mean, literally, like, it was the week after it started, so it was like, okay.
I got one right before,
and
then I got one, like, 18 months later, and I had a pretty nice, long...
Yeah, you did.
Dealy, but I hated it. It looked good. I don't know, it was weird.
But
it's just such a pain in the butt, man.
No, that's part of it, is part of the reason I finally got it cut. But it was the realization that as I was, during the pandemic, I literally... just suddenly realizing that my hair was thinning. It was just horrifying.
Well, maybe you'll get one of them Hillerman peaks where you'll have that nice part, but it'll like go all the way up. It's such a crazy widow's peak. It goes to somebody else's head. That's how high it goes on Jonathan Hillerman.
It's not gonna. My dad is. I think I'm balding the same way my dad is, and it's not bad because if you keep it short, it looks fine. But but it's definitely like I can see it already.
I don't know,
which is fine. It is what it is. I'm not gonna do anything to fix it. I'm just gonna take care of my head, and
there you go.
I mean,
you're not going to get hymns. You're not going to get hymns sent to you.
I'm not going to do any of that stuff. I mean, eventually,
unless they want to. Hey, look, hymns. If you want to advertise on the program, we'd be willing to try the product.
Now,
yeah. No, I agree with you. I will not die or get work done, I'm going to age the way that I age. I'm going to get fat if I get fat. Because here, I used to be very strict. I used to exercise quite a bit, and I used to be very strict with what I ate. Because I was acting a lot at the time and doing a lot of theater, and I'd have to be, nude or semi-nude or, whatever. So, but it wasn't fun, man. I don't care now. Yeah. Because I'm old. That's the greatest thing about getting old. Yeah. Is you can still, like I exercise because I don't, I want to stay strong.
Sure.
I do it because I have a fear of weakness, of being a feeble old guy, sitting, taken advantage of in the home. Yeah. Where's your watch, Mr. Resham? No, please don't get me. But yeah, but I eat like a 4-year-old still. So, I'm always like, I work out all the time. Well, I'm so fat. It's like, well, look at what you're eating there, Chucky. You're having ice cream like 5 nights a week, and you're wondering why you're getting moobies. It's like, come on. That's the thing that's sad, too, is I used to be able to just work out, and then that would take care of everything,
Yeah, that is part of getting old,
Well,
getting older.
Okay, this is depressing. I don't want to spend the whole show talking
about
what it's
we're
like
not.
to get old.
I didn't intend for this to happen.
This is what happens when old guys start talking. It's either the weather or the pains.
Yeah.
Thank God we're not sports fans, because then we'd be just talking about the Super Bowl. But, you're kind of a sports. College sports.
I don't follow professional sports. Yes, college sports, yes, but I don't push it on anyone.
There's a couple of things I wanted to talk about with the Magnum show that I kind of forgot to say.
Okay.
Because there's one point when I mentioned that Higgins was telling a story to Magnum in the episode where he died, the first series finale.
Series 7, yeah.
Yeah, but he was talking about maybe this will help you. This is a story about a man who thought that they were going to die, and then he woke up and said, give me a pound of stout.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't tell the other part of the story is when they renewed the series on the first episode when Magnum, or I think it was the end of the first episode because he's in a coma still.
Yeah.
He jumps out of the coma and the first thing he says is, give me a pint of stout, which is really funny.
Yeah.
And it was great that they that they brought that back from the the thing.
Yeah.
It just shows how clever they are.
Something else I didn't talk about because it was related to the Detroit Tigers thing, because it was Tom Selleck was a huge Detroit Tigers fan. And,
Still is.
And yeah. But he insisted he wear the hat and all this. But there was an incident, it was either 2007 or 2017, and I don't remember. But there was an incident where like 50 guys dressed up as Tom Selleck, as Magnum, and went to a Tigers game, and they ended up all getting kicked out because they kept harassing people.
Really?
Yeah. It was like 50 of them with the giant mustaches and like the hat.
But that's not the spirit of Magnum. Yeah. He's not a hassler.
No, and that's what I think. They were all just really drunk.
You think?
No, I think they were trying to be Magnum, but no.
You think a guy's dressing up as Magnum?
But it was funny. The pictures are hilarious because they're all wearing like the same print, like Hawaiian print shirt and the hat and the mustache and the.
One of our friends came as Magnum to one of our Halloween parties. Alex Walters came as Magnum. He did a good job.
He was
had
great.
A perfect shirt.
Yeah,
it was awesome.
It was fantastic.
I did also want to make a quick mention, since this is our 50th show.
Yes.
I just want to give a quick shout out and thank you to Lucas Salazar.
Yes.
If you listen to Shady Pines Radio, you know him as Poor Boy, the Soju Hour.
There you go.
Awesome shows on Sundays.
Sundays at 4.
Yeah.
Yep.
Really, really unique.
It is 2 hours.
Talented stuff.
Every week, man. That is an hour a week is tough. But 2 hours, man. Whew.
He's a great friend of ours. He was the one that got us going.
Introduced us
on
to
this,
Shady Pines,
on this epic.
This journey.
I hate that word. I was trying to avoid it.
I saw it on your face. You wanted to say it so bad.
There was a...
I don't hate that word, so I'm going to talk about journeys all the time.
Anyway, thank you, Lucas. We love you. Listen to his show. There was this... It pertains to millennials, but there was this thing that I think millennials say that the Gen Z hates. And one of them is, on my journey. How millennials always talk about their journey.
Yeah.
It's my journey. It's like, F your journey, baby. You're just living life like the rest of us.
Yeah, it's not.
There's such a pretentious... We have such an inflated sense of self in this country sometimes. But it's on my journey. Everything is about, it was just a sign, baby, for me. The whole, the hubris. Well, that plane crash was just a sign that I needed to, I got off that plane and it crashed, and that was just a sign that I needed to get going on my donkey business. So then the universe killed a bunch of people and crashed a plane so you could create your damn donkey business. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Don't look at me that way. I've lost my mind.
Welcome to Old Men Ranting. Wow.
And to talk about Lucas, if they did redo a Rockford Files,
Yes.
I would say 100% Lucas Salazar as Angel.
Yeah. Yeah.
He would be
I would
so
say,
good as
yeah,
Angel.
He would be great.
He would be amazing.
Lucas is fantastic. He's a great guy. We actually went to college together, even though we didn't meet until we meet at your apartment.
That is so
actually.
crazy.
It was so weird.
That is so
He was
crazy.
A couple years younger than me. We were both theater students, and literally he came up to me and said, "You went to the University of Iowa," and I was like, "I'm sorry, what?"
Yeah.
And it was crazy. We knew the same people. Like, it was very crazy.
Yeah.
But he's a good dude. He's a great guy.
Great guy.
Great
Yeah,
guy.
He's a great guy. But yeah, so let's talk a little bit about, since we did the month on private eyes and detectives.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit, because I think the heyday of detective shows, that was the 80s, man.
Yeah.
Because everybody was a detective of some sort.
Yeah.
You had, like we talked about before, BJ and the Bear.
Yeah,
A truck driver and a
yeah.
monkey, solving crimes. You had the Fall Guy, a stunt team,
yeah, he was
solving
a
crimes.
stunt guy, yeah.
You had the A-Team.
Yeah.
Disgraced military guys trying to clear the name and solving crimes. Incredible Hulk. Gamma radiation turns him into a big green dude, Lou Ferrigno.
Oh, yeah, but he still solves
Solving crimes and helping people. That was a whole... I think we've gotten away from the solving crimes and helping people, and I think it was a much nicer society when half of our television shows were a bunch of weirdos running around the country solving crimes and helping people. The A-Team just helps people. They just help people, man.
Yeah,
Magnum
they
helped
have
people.
because they were good guys.
Rockford helped
good
people.
Yeah.
It's just... Fall Guy, they didn't help people. They're a bunch of jerks. No. They helped people. But we had Hardcastle and McCormick, Jake and the Fat Man.
Yeah. Heart to Heart.
Heart to Heart, Remington Steele.
The Father Dowling Mysteries.
The Father Dowling Mysteries, and Murder, She Wrote.
Murder, She Wrote. Which
With
was,
Jessica Fletcher.
Yeah.
Which that was a little old lady for me. I didn't really get into the softer side of crime with Father Dowling and Jessica Fletcher.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're great shows, but just as a young person, that wasn't my jam. My jam was Rockford, Magnum, A-Team, the Hulk. I like my bruisers.
I was a big fan of MacGyver. That was my thing because he could do he was so clever and he could do anything and he could make everything work and
Oh yes.
I was always so into that.
Yeah, I didn't get into MacGyver. I got into it a little bit, but there was also Airwolf.
Yeah.
It was, I don't know.
Airwolf. Oh, man, I haven't thought about that in forever. Wow. I would forget that's a TV show.
Yes. Yes, there was 10 Speed and Brown Shoe. That was another detective show.
A lot of actors got their starts in all these shows.
Yeah, Jeff Goldblum.
Jeff Goldblum in Pierce Brosnan on Remington Steele.
Yeah. Mr. T on
Mr. T.
Seriously.
And his huge, it was his first thing. Yeah.
It was, Mr. T got, the first time I remember seeing him is I used to watch, they had the greatest, like, I'm not a sports fan, but in the 70s, or the 70s and 80s, The Wonderful World of Sports had some of the greatest, quote unquote, I'm doing the quoties with my fingers, sporting events. They had the bouncer competition,
right?
And that's where I first remember seeing him, and it was like guy had to throw two dudes out and jump through it. It was the most ridiculous. A bouncer would never have to do these crazy action adventure antics, but it was it was putting these bouncers through these crazy obstacle courses of bad customers and break up a fight and and I remember seeing him and he just dominated, man. And he also just the look, he had such an iconic look, man. Whew.
Yeah,
I pity the fool.
Immediately. You knew he was going to have a career. It was just immediately.
Oh, yeah. He was designed to be on the A-Team and cartoons, and he was just, he was to be a doll. I just remember there was the talking Mr. T doll. He pulled the straight. I pity the fool who does dogs. It was awesome. But yeah, so we had all of these really. Some great, some not so great, but all fun.
Yeah, but they were all
shows.
Interesting.
Most of them created by Stephen J. Cannell. All of them scored by Mike Post, of course.
Yeah.
But there was a quaintness to them, and I do think that perhaps there was a little bit more compassion in this world when what we were watching were a
Yeah.
bunch of people helping strangers, rather than what we watch now, which is a bunch of reality strangers just being dicks to each other or trying to have sex with each other.
Well, there was definitely a shift in the feeling and stuff. I mean, as evidence from the finale of Seinfeld, and that they get in trouble for not helping.
Yes.
Like, that is not something that would have happened in the early 80s. Like, they wouldn't have done that.
No.
You know? But,
And that was actually a real law for a while, that Good Samaritan law, which was crazy. But yeah, it's just, look, I'm not blaming society's ills on the lack of detective shows where people travel around the country helping people solve
pretty
crimes.
sure that's what you're saying, Jim.
Well, I'm saying partially. No.
Yeah.
But I do, I mean, it influenced me, you know?
Yeah.
I wanted to be those guys. You know, that's why I don't really care as much about money as I do about doing the right thing.
Yeah.
You know me, I'm always doing the right thing. I'm running
Well, that
around
explains
North
why you're
Hollywood,
broke. Yeah.
helping people.
Just
I've
all
solved
the
some
time.
crimes. There was this small village of North Hollywoodians that was being they were being terrorized by some ruffians in a motorcycle gang.
Oh, motorcycle gang.
And I made this whole trap, you know, to trap the motorcycle gang and to solve their problem,
Right.
And to help the little village of North Hollywoodians, learn how to stand up for themselves. So if the motorcycle gang did come back, they would be able to fight them. But the thing is, they're not going to come back because they know that this little village isn't gonna stand for their shenanigans anymore.
All right, well, I think you just got your first pitch done.
Oh, it's good, man. It's a good one. We did have some good detective shows recently, or in the distant, like like Psych is a good one. You know,
it was super fun, and it had its own brand. I don't know, like its own feel. Like it was very
its own vibe.
Yeah, its own vibe. It was good. It was really fun
with James Rodriguez, and Dule Hill.
Oh yeah,
and Corbin Burnson. If you love L.A. Law, and another Corbin Burnson. Handsome man.
Yeah.
Got to be in his 70s. Still as handsome. Handsome as ever. But that show was super fun because he's pretending to be a psychic. It's very self-aware, you know.
Yeah.
And they also, the thing about that show that makes it so great is they also love the genre. They love the Magnums. They love the Rockfords, and they embrace that part of it. And, you know, that's what makes the show so much fun, too. Burn Notice, another really fun one with...
I don't think I ever saw that.
Burn Notice?
Oh, Burn Notice. I totally heard Bert and Otis.
Bert and Otis. That's a good one.
Bert and Otis from 1975.
Bert and Otis. But Burn
Down Home Boys. Burn
Notice.
Notice. Burn Notice was a great show.
Oh, yeah. And that was, you know, ex-CIA guys and an ex-IRA lady helping people solve crimes in Miami. But that's another one that had a voiceover, too, that worked really well. Jeffrey Donovan, another guy, very charismatic. He had a very good rhythm to his voiceover. His voiceover was cool, too, because he was explaining, like, the CIA stuff. He's like, oh, this is how you do it.
Yeah.
When you're doing reconnaissance, what you have to do is, it was almost like teaching us how to do it. It had the iconic Bruce Campbell.
Oh, he's so great.
So good. It's Sam Axe. Who, coincidentally, Axe body spray was named after.
Yeah.
Sam Axe.
Sam Axe.
I'm joking. But that was another good one.
There was a time, maybe 12 years ago, 13 years ago, there's a really bad heat wave in LA, and I was living in an apartment that didn't have air conditioning, and I set up this whole fan system, and for 8 hours, I just laid on the floor and watched Burn Notice.
Wow, that would have I would have watched Northern Exposure because it would have cooled me off. But Burn Notice, Miami, it seems like it'd still be hot.
I felt like it was interactive. It was great.
And another great show shot in Miami, like Miami Vice.
Yeah.
But there are some good ones still. It's nice to see them, but there hasn't been
I think my favorite modern private investigator was Veronica Mars.
Oh yeah. Great show. And again, took the conceit. She had a voiceover too as well.
Yeah.
That worked really well because is there a more charismatic actress than Kristen Bell? A more likable, sweet, just watchable. The Good Place.
Yeah, she's so great.
I watched that movie, Queen Pins.
Oh yeah, it was good. Yeah, I watched that too. Yeah,
yeah. She's always great, and she just seems like the kind of person that, if you stubbed your toe, she'd be like, "Come on, sit down."
Yeah,
let's get
yeah.
you." She just seems like a very sweet person, but so likable. Another one that is just that's the way the show worked. I mean, because it shouldn't have. A show about a high school detective, and it was all glossy. And the one thing about that show. And it was all the shows at that time about teenagers. I think there was all teenagers who were talking like 40-year-olds. They were swishing their cognac around like, "Look, Veronica, I know that you think that I may be guilty of stealing the notebooks out of Mrs. Johnson's class, but how dare you think, why don't you have a drink and sit down and we'll discuss it like adults." But it's a bunch of people writing them like a Woody Allen movie. But
Yeah.
But she had the charisma and the character to push through that and make it such a great, iconic show that I totally love that show. And the guy that played her dad, Enrico Colantoni?
Colantoni, yeah. He, from Just Shoot Me, that was what I knew him from.
And Galaxy Quest.
Galaxy Quest.
And from the new Station 11, which is a really good
show. Oh,
show.
yeah, I need to watch that still. Yeah.
Really enjoyed that.
He's great. He's a great actor.
Oh, yeah. And another guy that's just an unsung, he's going to be on our episode of Unsung Heroes.
Yes.
That's just quietly worked for 50 years.
And nobody knows his name.
But is solid. And you know his face, and you love him because he's just a solid guy. I love those guys, those journeymen.
Yeah.
Those guys that
Always.
just been, humping.
Yeah.
Humping. Maybe they're humping if they're lucky.
They're humping something.
No, but, just hitting the ground running. The guys that are just pounding the pavement and always doing solid work.
Just working all the time.
It's like they're always whoever's worked with them is like, "Get me Enrico Colantoni." We need him on this. That's a whole subsection of Hollywood that people don't appreciate. These guys, these gals, these actors that are always so good at supporting parts that make these stars much better, look better.
Yes,
especially the stars, and I'm not going to name any names that are crap. These are the ones that make their films watchable because they know how to buoy. This,
yeah. Totally. This is something that Columbo and Rockford Files and Magnum P.I. knew well, is that you get good actors to be your supporting people because you've got great leads.
Right.
But, you have to have that support.
Yeah, the leads carry the show. And those three guys, you could do it with cardboard cutouts and it would still be fine.
Yeah.
But what makes these shows classics is that they knew how to surround the actors with even better actors or just as good actors. So what you're watching is just seamless.
Yeah.
Sometimes, occasionally you'd get like the producer's girlfriend in there or, the nephew of the head of the studio. And they would be not so great, but for the most part, they did their thing.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, these shows, I think another reason why I really dug these shows is like my stepdad and we didn't connect on a lot of things. Like I wanted to because I was just a young boy looking for a daddy, looking for, So he was really into guns, so we did, his gun stuff. And but he was also really into movies and TV. Some TV. And so we would watch our big thing was we would watch Rockford because he loved Rockford.
Yeah.
Because he was, hey, middle-aged guy watching a middle-aged guy solving crimes. I get it. I have a whole new appreciation for Rockford at my age than I did when I watched him at 30.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially I'm just like, damn, man. Every time I see him do rolls or something, I'm like, ouch.
That was, rolling down that hill. I was like, he slid for hours.
That guy gave, that's a man who literally gave everything to that show to the point where it destroyed his body.
Yes.
And the appreciation was canceled.
Yeah.
But
he definitely got his paycheck at the end of the day.
Of course he did. But he's no dummy. But
yeah.
The old man like that. He also turned me on to some really good movies. Way too young, but stuff like Deliverance or
Not again.
But too young. But still, I get it. It's like he was sharing. He didn't like sports. My mom taught me how to play sports. She was a really good,
she was
sports person. Yeah. But he and I connected on a few things, and it was these cop shows and stuff because he was a guy that liked guns. He was a guy that liked cops. He loved John Wayne.
Yeah,
he wanted to be John Wayne. We watched a ton of John Wayne movies together. Oh, if we ever do a John Wayne show, it's going to be all about the old man. But but it was, and I think that's a lot of guys my age, we connected through TV with our dads or stepdads.
Yeah.
He and I, the Muppet Show is another big one for he and I.
Oh yeah.
He loved the Swedish Chef. I learned to be funny to make the old man laugh. Because when I could make the old man laugh, not to get, I'm not going to get into it, but it's just like when you learn the power of laughter, making somebody laugh, it's addictive, man. And it's also it works so much better than crying or throwing a tantrum or whatever.
Yeah.
One of my best bits for him, the bit that he loved the most, was he would say, "Watch your mouth." And then I would go, "Okay." And I would try to look at my mouth and I would go, "Okay." And for some reason, that would just crack him up to no end. And then he'd be fine. Then he wouldn't be pissed anymore. It's like I could diffuse the situation with laughter. And I learned that by, what made him laugh by watching TV and stuff together. I don't know. It's all complicated, crazy things.
Of course it is.
But it did, TV, we talk about TV as mindless boob tubery or whatever, but it did, I think for our generation too, I think for every generation that TV, from TV invention on, had a huge impact on that generation.
Yeah, of course.
I do think these are really important shows, and I think they get kind of thrown to the scrap, not thrown to the scrap heap, but
not as considered as seriously because of the nature of their shows.
Even like The Love Boat is an extremely important show.
Yeah.
Because it bridged sexuality. It started putting sexuality on as goofy and silly and stupid.
Yeah, yeah.
Same with Three's Company.
Yeah,
It started people talking about gay people in a very stereotype. I'm not saying that these were, stellar examples of civil rights and that we owe it all to Jack Tripper and But what I'm saying is we're a country that watches a ton of TV.
Yeah.
We always have been. And back then, everybody was pretty much held hostage to 3 channels.
Right.
They could do whatever they want.
Right.
But they started to become more progressive. If you look at cop shows before, like Dragnet, it was very like, we're going to get the criminal. There was no nuance to it, really. I mean, it was a great show.
Sure.
But Jack Webb always got the guy. It was like, what are we going to do? And it was just fast talking jibbity jabbity. And, what are you going to do, ma'am?
It's a perfect example of why representation matters.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just watching an episode of Night Court, where Dan and a gay guy get locked into an elevator.
Oh.
They get stuck in an elevator, and the gay guy had hit on Dan, thinking he's like, "Oh, you made eyes at me," so he's like, "I just want to know if you want to go out." And of course, Dan thought that was the end of the world because he's such a womanizer. But they get stuck in the elevator, and the dialogue and the conversation and the realization that he's like, "Yeah, you're just a person."
Yeah.
Like you're not.
Well, that's when they stop just being stereotypes.
Yeah. But this is on. But this is when it matters, is because it's on national TV. It's on primetime. It's showing that,
But that's the beauty of that show. Well, that's the beauty of that scene.
Yeah.
Is that 10 years ago, it would have just been a hairdresser, and he'd be like, he'd punch him or something because he was coming after him.
Right.
You know, because that's how it was. It was just like. Beat the queers, whatever. It's horrible. But it's like, I think a lot of people in Hollywood are gay. The thing that had to be so hard. There's so many people of the LGBTQ community in Hollywood. Always has been in Hollywood. They had to pretty much demonize themselves.
Yeah.
Or ignore themselves within their work. Right. And then you're finally getting to put yourself in the work and make people less of a stereotype and more of a human. Whenever we remove the stereotype and show the human, then it's really hard to hate somebody.
Yeah.
It's easy to hate a stereotype.
Yeah.
It's easy to say, all the Trump people are a bunch of dumb rednecks, or, all these people are, all left-wingers are a bunch of tree-hugging dips, and it's like, no, people are people. And we got to stop it's just so disheartening to me that we're kind of coming back. There's at least a chunk, a very vocal minority that's trying to bring us back to the time before that.
Yeah.
All the progress that has been made is so important to some people and just so frightening to others.
Yeah. Of course. I lived in a small town of less than 1,000 people for a couple of years, and ran a bar. So I talked to all the locals all the time, and they were all very anti-gay. Like it was not all of them. There was a couple of guys, a couple of farmers that were really progressive that I loved hanging out with, but most of them were very anti-gay, and none of them really knew gay people, except for the gay couple that owned the flower shop in town.
Right.
And every time you would bring them up, oh yeah, they're fine, they're good, but they didn't like the gay people they didn't know.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is?
So your experience is a positive one.
Yeah.
You like these people. And yet
they're the exception to the evil. Exactly. And it's like, no, do you understand what you're saying?
And the
like,
more people they meet,
sense.
the more people they'll like. And there's, there are going to be people they don't like. Because just because you're gay doesn't make you a great person.
Take that leap and assume that they're not bad people.
Exactly. They're just people.
Yeah.
Everybody is just people.
Yes.
That's why we need more detective shows and more shows about people going around solving crimes and helping people.
Yes.
Because when we had that going, we didn't have all this division.
No.
No. When the A-Team was around, there wasn't all this division. When Magnum was solving crimes, there wasn't much division. We just need to bring back these fellas. Not bring back a new Magnum like the Abomination.
Let's roll out the old bones Tom Selleck and make him solve crimes.
Do it. He solves crimes now as Blue Bloods. Now he's gone conservative.
Here's the thing. This is their 50th episode.
Yeah.
This is there's things that I watched
for our
during
50th
the
episode.
last year.
We're going to do like 50 different topics.
There was things I watched in the last year that if it wasn't for this show, I never would have watched.
Yeah.
I never watched Love Boat.
Yeah.
And I started watching it in the midst of the pandemic, and it was amazing.
Oh, yeah.
I fell in love with it.
Of course.
It was incredible.
It's just pure joy. It's just pure dumb joy.
It's just stupid and amazing, and
there is
so much fun.
That's what I loved. It was just turn your brain off TV. You know?
Yeah.
Just watch a bunch of your beloved stars, your C-list stars, come on and fall in love with each other.
Yeah.
Or maybe fall in love with one of the crew members.
I mean, it's the same with Columbo. I never would have watched Columbo, but I fell in love with it because it was so different.
Same.
And it's a show that was 50 years old at that point.
I never really, like I said on the show, it was a little too talky for me as a kid.
Yeah.
But watching it now, it's like watching a play, like a good play.
Yeah, a really good play. Yeah.
Exactly. I think it's nostalgia, but it's also rediscovering or discovering things that we may have missed.
Yeah. Like a big shout out to Brett and Gloria, who's watched Miami Vice all the way through because of the show.
Yeah, and thanks to T. Arthur Cottam for helping spread the love because if there's a bigger fan than me of Miami Vice, it's T. Arthur.
He was great. We need to have him back on.
Definitely. We had some great guests over the beginning. We kind of moved away from that. We talk too much now for guests. But, things changed a little bit along the way. Had some music shows. Don't do that anymore.
Show's evolving and discovered itself,
But it's been, I think, like you said, I think the most enjoyable part is doing the show with you, my friend.
Oh.
It's one nice thing I'm going to say to you in this decade.
I get one a year.
So
and
isolate
that's
it and make it your ringtone. But, also just looking at things that I loved as a kid, as an adult, and seeing different aspects of it, and seeing it from a lens of the age of the people that were writing it or whatever. Mm-hmm. I can appreciate Magnum or Rockford or Columbo on a different level than I could have when I was 8.
I would hope so.
Or 13 or 14.
But I hope so. I mean, that's
But that's part of the fun too, because a lot of these things, Magnum. I rewatch the entire series every few years.
Yeah,
I think it's been. I think like 2 or 3 years ago was the last time. I would do this thing where I would start the year off binging some show that I loved as a child. Like I did.
Yeah,
I've done Rockford a couple of times.
Yeah.
I've done Magnum. I did Miami Vice, and it's so much fun. And it's like putting on a blanket too. It's like you're sitting there, like I did it on my laptop, and I'm just all cozy in bed. And it's, it's just there's so much comfort in those shows, for me at least. So there's that level of putting on a blanket, and then that level of, oh, well, I didn't notice that the I didn't notice that the blanket had this stitching or this pattern on it before, and it's so interesting. And there's always something else to discover, even in the movies that we're watching again, too.
Yeah.
A lot of those I haven't seen in a while. I'm trying. It's so funny because before we started the show, I started this thing where I was like, look, I'm not watching anything I've watched before because there's so many things I haven't seen. I've got to move forward. And then, then we started doing this, and then luckily it gave me an excuse to be like, well, I don't have to watch. I can watch this thing now. I gotta do it for the show. It's for research.
It's research. Yeah. It's been fun. It's been really fun. I'm happy with the way the show has progressed, and I mean, I feel like there's a lot more. There's so much more. We have a lot of fun stuff coming up.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, we're never going to run out of things that we love or that the audience loves, or, I mean, Gen X, we consume a lot of crap, man. We were we were the first generation that got cable, first generation that got MTV, first generation that got video games, first generation that got, we were the first for a lot of crap that wastes your time.
Entertainment.
Yeah, but
I never considered a waste of time.
No, of course not. But I think it's funny because, I talk a lot about how my mom and my stepdad were just the hardest workers I've ever known. They just work. But that's because that's how they grew up. There was nothing else to do. Were you going to read? I don't think so. So they also grew up in a time after the Depression where everybody had to work and things weren't, easy.
Yeah.
And I think we were kind of the first post all wars, Vietnam.
Yeah.
We pretty much, there was no drafting or anything. I mean, yes, there were wars coming up, but they weren't the same kind of wars,
No.
We were the bridge between falling off your bikes, busting your arm, and then being coddled,
Yeah.
There's I think our generation was like, oh my God, they threw me in the back of a pickup truck, and, now I've got to wrap my baby in bubble wrap. And, I think we overcompensated as parents possibly.
And
hopefully the next group will kind of, of course we did, because we were the parents of everybody gets a trophy, and
Yeah, they wanted everybody to be happy, and
which I get it, that's cool.
Yeah.
But it doesn't help get you ready for what the real world is, which is really sad because it's like, well, real world's a horrible place, so let's just change the world and make it a great place.
Yeah.
Instead of changing children to let them know how horrible the world is.
Our modern America is that wonderful, horrible world. But I will say, I don't think we're ever going to run out of things to talk about. But when we get to the episode about Airwolf, we got to reassess what we're doing.
No way, man. You're insane. You're insane. Airwolf, baby. Jan, Michael, Vincent, pre-horrible alcoholism. You got Ernest Borgnine. Ernest effing Borgnine, man. Barry Van Dyke. Dick Van Dyke's son.
Oh, Dick Van Dyke's son. Okay.
Come on, man. David Hemmings. Lance Legault.
All right.
Some of the greatest.
I'll amend and say when we get to the Automan. When we get to Automan.
Well,
it was in the 80s. It was he's Automan, the Automatic Man.
Well, is he an automatic man or is he a car?
Oh no, it's not a car. He's not a car. I think he maybe can. It's one of those features, but he's a hologram that comes out and becomes anyway. It was not. It starred Desi Arnaz Jr. So
well, come on, he was amazing.
Anyway,
Desi Arnaz Jr. was on Love Boat a lot too. So was
yeah.
Lucy Arnaz Jr.
Yeah.
What is that? When you name a girl after the mom, is she a junior too? How does that work?
Why would she not be?
I don't know. I don't know how those things work. I don't have kids.
I think it's just mostly done with men. I don't think women.
I've never heard of like a Sally Hemmings Jr.
No.
Sally Hemmings. I don't know why that came out, but I've never heard of a June Markles Jr.
June Markles Jr.
Never heard of a woman be called a junior before.
I don't know. I mean, I don't think that women generally get named after.
Well, Lucy did.
But I know women that have been named after like their grandmothers, but then they just call them, the name. It's not like they don't usually put like a junior on it.
Well, then you're making my argument for me.
Well, I don't know. Lucy Arnaz Jr. or Lucy, yeah.
Junior is actually genderless and simply means younger. It's not common for use in females, but it can and has been used on occasion.
Wow.
Thank you, Googles.
The more you know.
Yeah, well, that's good to know because I don't want to be sexist.
It is. It's interesting, though, because I would like to meet somebody named, like, Sally Markles Jr. or whatever.
Well, Lucy Arnaz Jr., but I don't think they go by Junior.
According to their Wikipedia.
But,
And actually, she spells the name differently.
Who?
Lucy Arnaz.
Which one?
The younger.
No. Which name? Lucy or Arnaz?
Lucy. She spells it I-E.
She spells it L-L-O-S-I-E.
She's Lucy Goosey Arnaz.
She is Lucy. That's her middle name, actually, is Goosey.
Goosey. Mm-hmm. Lucy Goosey.
Her mom had a great sense of humor.
Ah.
So, 50 shows. Awesome. But we got a lot of stuff coming up this year. We got next month, February, is For the Love of Murphy.
Yeah.
Little Eddie Murphy. We're going to do like his beginning. The first show is going to be about the beginning of his career and his Saturday Night Live days and how this insane lightning bolt of talent just came on the scene and exploded.
Helped a very awful show at the time.
Oh, that's another thing.
Yeah,
man.
yeah. We'll talk about it. Yeah.
And then, we're going to talk about 48 Hours.
His huge explosion out into the movie world. Yeah.
Gauntlet.
Oh, it's going to be a lot of Nick Nolte in that episode.
And then we got 48 Hours. And then we got Trading Places.
Yeah.
Such a great movie. Such great movies. And up in the months, we're going to do some animators. We're going to do some game shows. May is going to be a fun month because we're going to do May the Force Be With You, which are going to be movies that were kind of Star Wars ripoffs.
That's going to be a fun month. That's
really fun.
A couple movies I haven't even seen.
I saw them in the theater.
Nice.
I was such a fan. We got a lot of great stuff coming up. Thank you for listening.
Hopefully we'll be back for our 100th episode where we can randomly ramble on about 100 different topics.
Yes. We call it the Ramblins.
Yeah.
But that's what stepdads do. They just
That's true.
talk themselves to sleep.
That's true.
You know what we should have had to drink today
what's
in honor of Magnum?
Yeah.
We should have had some old Dusseldorfs in a long neck bottle.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's all he drank.
I don't even know if you could get any old Dusseldorfs.
I don't know if that's an actual real beer.
I don't think
or
it
if it was.
I don't think
But that's all he would drink. Give me an old Dusseldorf in a long neck bottle.
It was oh no, what was it? What was Rockford drinking? There was one of them I looked up and it was a certain type of beer that I think it was Magnum. It was a certain type of beer that he drank it's from a very particular part of Germany.
Yeah.
Which I don't think I'd ever had. I don't remember what it's called now. But
old Dusseldorf.
Yeah.
That's all Magnum drank is beer. Old
No, I know.
Dusseldorf.
But
he would drink other beers if he couldn't get it because it wasn't the easiest beer to find.
It was the type of beer. Like it was
like a stout
the
or
way
an
it was
ale.
made. Yeah, but it was like something that's very rare that's only made in a very specific area of Germany.
It's made out of babies' foreskins.
It's like a Rausch beer, but not totally, which is a smoked beer, which is really interesting.
Yeah, I think Rockford drank whiskey. I don't know if he had a signature
know
drink.
if he did any. Yeah.
And Colombo, yes, sir. Just give me just a splash of wine. Just a tiny sip of
Whatever
whiskey.
Whatever they were drinking, he would take
or
it.
eating. And let me have some of those pigs in a blanket. Those look really good, sir. Yeah. Just one more thing. Can I have that baby quiche?
Oh, just one more thing.
Just one more thing, baby. I wonder if that was the title of his memoir.
No, it was. Oh man, it was something related, but it wasn't just one more thing.
Good, because that's the worst. That would be the Broadway musical about Peter Falk.
Yes.
Just one thing. The Peter Falk story. Now on Broadway. Gonna be Columbo, Columbo. I'm gonna be Columbo one day.
You're totally right. It was called Just One More Thing.
Oh, come on.
Stories from My Life by Peter Falk.
I can't blame him. He said that phrase probably 1,000 times.
He was that character, and that character, he loved playing that character. So.
Well, I loved watching him play that character. Yeah. And that's the other thing. I loved watching all these guys play these characters because these guys loved playing these characters.
Yes. Yeah.
They loved them. And, they may have got sick of them occasionally.
Yeah.
But, it's like...
Well, yeah. I mean, Tom Selleck loved the character so much that he wanted to kill him off so that way no one else could play him.
Well, you look at, Moonlighting, which is a great show. Yeah. Love that show. But they did not love playing those characters.
No.
I don't know if it was so much they didn't love playing the characters, but they just did not like playing against each other. Sybil Shepherd and Bruce Willis did not like each other because they loved each other. Secrets. I think they did, actually. It's so complicated. I can't wait. That's going to be a good show, too. That'll be this year. 100%.
We'll do Moonlighting.
We got it. And we'll get T back for Moonlighting because I know he loves that show. But we got a lot of cool stuff coming up. For those of you who just started listening, we're going to be popping up a lot of our old stuff.
Yeah.
Just pick and choose. Listen to what you want. And if you have any ideas for shows or things you want to see, please let us know. What's our email?
GenXFilesPodcast@gmail.com.
That's
GenXFilesPodcast@email.
That's GenXFilesPodcast@gmail.com.
There you go.
Oh, my God.
Hey guys.
Oh.
Hey, look, I know you're almost done, but it would have been remiss if I didn't come back from the future, 25th century. It's me, Colonel Will Madurian.
Hey.
Just to say congratulations on 50. I brought a little birdie.
Yeah?
To say hi.
Beady, beady, beady. Hey, guys.
Hey.
Your show sucks.
All
I never listen.
Hey, come on. I didn't bring you back to be a jerk. Tricky.
Yeah.
He's got his bolts all twisted up.
Anyway,
he's a little jerk. I might just leave you here.
No, don't leave him here.
Oh, that'd be torture.
Yeah, for all of us.
Anyway, I shouldn't have brought him. Now I feel like a jerk. Anyway,
No,
I
it's
just
okay.
want to tell you guys, love you guys, love the show. It's crazy that the show goes on for 7,000 episodes, but you don't know that yet. It's the future. Anyway, gotta go back.
All right, bye.
Wow, that was
It's
nice.
so nice of her to pop in.
Oh,
and we managed to get away without having
Hello, Daddy.
Okay, all right, we're done. Thanks for listening.
Hello.
Oh, God.
Daddy.
Nope.
I just want to say, my handsome little boogie bear, Adam, is looking good, and I can't believe you're 50.
Yeah, I know. Thanks.
You're 50 years young.
Okay.
Is it your 50th birthday?
Can we not get her sucked out the airplane again?
I thought she died. It was nice of people to come back,
Yeah,
though.
it was good of
and
them.
Say
Yeah.
happy 50th.
Yeah, it was nice.
Yeah.
It was nice.
We
Well,
have a lot of really weird female fans. A lot of dead. Well, not dead, but one of them is dead, I suppose.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Well, thanks for listening.
yeah, we'll be back. You look at but we now return you to your regularly scheduled programming. Scooby-Doo, where are you? Already in progress.